All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to do in this video. We have a character that moves around, and last time we added this reset player button. So I'm going to go ahead and press E, and you can see our player is knocked out. Well, we created this magic class in the last tutorial as well as this reset player button. But what I'd like to do is have it where you can use a magical potion or do something to revive your player. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to press R for testing purposes, or you can click this button here, but the player isn't going to have access to this. So I'm going to press R, and you can see now our player is revived, and we're back to this blend tree, which is our idle animation. And we can keep we can keep reviving our player as much as we want. And so let's go ahead and see how to set this up. So the first thing we want to do is, you can see here that I right clicked and I clicked on make transition and I connected it to this blend tree here. Now, what you're going to do after that is you're going to create another trigger. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to select trigger. I'm going to delete this one here that I just made, but you're going to name yours Revive, and make sure to spell it similar to mine, R-E-V-I-V-E. All right, now once you select this, make sure to check off has exit time, because remember what that does is it creates a delay inside of here. You can see how much time it has exit time between two animations that are blending. We want it to happen immediately when we hit our key, the R key. I want you to turn off fixed duration, and I want you to turn off transition duration, because that's how smoothly it transitions. And down here at the bottom under conditions, I want you to hit the plus sign, and I want you to select revive. All right, so what I'm going to do now is pause the video, and I'm going to lay the scripting editor next to my Unity editor. All right, so let's take a look at the changes that we're going to do in our player animation script. So you can see here that I have a new animation here, and it's called Reset Player Animation. And this is inside of our player animation script. Now, what this does is when this method is called, it's going to make sure that our character is facing down. So we call set moving animation here. And if we do vector2.down, this just ensures that when our character respawns, because remember, in here, when I press E a bunch of times, our character is facing down. But if our character dies in a different direction, or we try to change it, when I hit R, I always want it to be starting in that initial position where it's facing down. And that's what this line of code does. And then animator, because remember we have this animator accessor here, which is giving us access to here. Dot set trigger, when I call revive here, it just pings this. That's what it does. It turns it on. So that's what this reset player animation does. A reset player method does, rather. All right, so next I want you to open your player class. And at the top, I want you to add a reference to private player animations. And remember, this script is on our player. So what we're going to be doing, let me kind of expand this a little bit here, is, and let me go ahead and move this animator down here so that all of our scripts are together. And shrink these down. All right, so we have the player script here, and we want to get this animator component from down here into this script. So go ahead and add this private void awake method here and animations. And we should make this underscore. I know I'm kind of I'm showing you a little bit of bad coding where we're using private in some areas or not, but we could always refactor and clean up later. It's not the end of the world. But anyway, animations equals get component player animations. And just as a refresher, having this get component here is going to grab this animator here. And then down at the bottom, we created a new method inside a player called reset player, right? And we have in here, we have reset player animation. What this one is going to do is it resets our player. So what it does is we go to stats.so.resetPlayer, which is calling this reset player method. If I hold control and I click on this, we can jump to our player stats here. Let me move it over here to make it a little bit easier. And remember, we created this reset player method that just sets these back to whatever we set max health in here. So inside of here, it's going to call this method, and it resets health and mana. And this is inside of this player stats SO class. And then inside of animations, right? You might be like, wait, what was animations? If I'm going to hold control and click on this, inside of player animation, we're going to reset the animation. So we have reset player, which does all of the stats. and the reset player animations. Okay, so back to player here. Now you might be wondering, well, where's this called? So if I hold control and click on this, it opens up this new script that we're going to create. So let's go over to our project, and in our scripts folder, create a new folder, right click and then create and then folder and name it managers. And then I want you to create a new script called game managers. Remember, right click, create C# script. Sorry, I know that's redundant, but it just helps me a lot to pay attention to that. And then up here in our scene, we have I right clicked and I created 2 empty game objects. I made one empty game object and I called it managers. And then, so I'll just kind of show you how I did that. And then I right clicked again. I created a second empty game object and I just called this game manager. And then on this game manager, I grabbed the newly created game manager script and I dropped it on there. Now something else I did, and this is later, and I'll review this again. I grabbed my player and I dropped it inside of there, but that's not going to be there for you because, let me delete this for now. You haven't created this field right here. So why are we creating this? We're creating a serialized field of type player. And remember, if you have it the same name as your script, you can access the things inside of here. And what are we trying to access? We want to access this reset player method. So inside of our game manager here, I have a very simple, and we're not doing anything with this just yet. This is really just for demonstrations. I have an update method which runs every frame. And just like in player health and our other scripts, when I want to test something, I just kind of create a key, right? So I copied this from player health, if input.key code. If you need to, you can just pause the video and type it. I think you should type it because it gets you a little bit more comfortable by rewriting code. But all I'm saying is if we press the R key, I want you to go to this player class here, because remember we have access here, and I want you to call, I'm going to hold control and left click. So go to player here. I'm going to access this method by pressing the R key, and and remember, this resets our mana stats. It also resets our animation from the game manager. So in your scene, you put the game manager there, you drag your player in, and because this lives in our scene, it's alive. What I mean by alive, it's actually in our scene. All this game manager does right now is it's waiting for me to press the R key. Now, what's cool about this is at any point, so I'm hitting E. If I hit R again, it's always going to reset it. But we just need it to revive the player. And that sets everything back to 10. Okay, so type all that out. Now, if it's not working, remember, always hit Control-Shift-C or open your console. Check that you don't have any errors. And then the other thing is make sure your game manager, you dragged your player in there because we created this later. And I think that's it for Revive. And we'll look at player experience points, I think, in the next one.